Good evening, Let's Talk family. Beautiful day today. I mean, the weather is breaking for most people that live in the Northeast. It was very nice out today. And tonight we have a very good show. Drea is here, the professor. Yeah, she's here, she gives us great information in reference to understanding the numbers and understanding the quarters and what's going on. And tonight she's here to talk to us and decode the second quarter and understanding the second quarter and like really what is going on. Like it's a lot going on. It's a lot of weird energy, as most
Yeah.
people would say. So we're going to discuss that if we can. So what's up, Dre?
What's up, Q? What's up, everybody that's watching?
So, Dre, we're in the second quarter of um
Six
this inter
universal year.
yeah, this interesting year. I always say, as the weather's starting to break, we've been basically on punishment for the last 2 years
Right.
because of the pandemic. And with that, and with the pandemic, we it's getting a lot lax now and things are opening up. Basically, it's no more pandemic, I guess. The terms that they use, they don't use those terms no more. So
Right.
you're starting to see the spring breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're a college professor, so you definitely know what's going on with that. And we're
Right.
starting to see the travel is picking up.
Mm-hmm.
Beaches will be open. Memorial Day is right around the corner. I mean,
Exactly.
and then it's on. We're in the second quarter, and we left the first quarter interesting, but now we're in the second quarter. I sent you some birthdays
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, and I didn't tell you the name of the particular people.
Okay.
I didn't tell you the name of the particular people for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want you to look at what they've been doing lately in the news and
Right.
let it mess your judgment up.
Okay.
Sometimes we tend to do that. So
Right.
I'm gonna give you two birthdays first, and then we'll get into some second quarter stuff, and then I'll give you two more birthdays.
Okay. Sounds good. I got my notes, so I'm ready.
Okay. The first birthday is 7/18/1965. This is a male.
Okay. So when I had did the build and I did the research on this, so this is a Cancer male. Cancer is a water sign. So if you guys know anything about cancers, they're very emotional. They can definitely be territorial, jealous, possessive, but also very loving. Have mood swings. So they're 18, so they're a 9 person, right? So nine, definitely leadership qualities. They are pretty much ambitious, they're talented, so they have to always stay talented, and they will be in a limelight if they follow that path. Magnetic, so people are always gravitated towards them. Resilient, so if something major happens to their life, they're able to bounce back quicker versus some other people. And also too, they have the endurance, so they can endure a lot, and have that stamina to keep going while other people will quit. And they're fighters, so when I'm saying fighters, not actual physical fighters, but they will also advocate for not only themselves but for humanitarians too. um Another thing I was looked up is they're highly intelligent, and also that they're problem solvers, compassionate leaders, and make great partners.
Anything else about him?
No.
Well,
Who's this person?
this person birthday, 7/18/1965, who Drea just spoke about. The name is Raymond Scott. Raymond Scott, aka, is Benzino.
Ah, from the crib.
Yeah, yeah. So we know that Benzino been in the news lately. It's a lot going on with him. Whatever his situation is his situation. Not to be judgmental. He's got a lot going on.
Right.
A lot going on. So I sent Drea his birthday yesterday because I see that he's been very, as Drea said about his reading, he's been very emotional in the news. Um, he's basically breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, right before our eyes. I'm not a medical profession, but you see it with a lot of celebrities because of their access of being a celebrity. They have to go through real problems in front of everybody. We're their audience. So
Right.
I thought that his birthday would be one birthday to be very interesting. The other birthday is 9/25, 1968.
Okay. So this person's a Libra, air sign 7. So sevens are pretty much, as we always talk about, completion and perfection, right? Also, too, they're very, when I did this whole thing too, very upbeat, creative, attracted to spirituality. So they're big into spirituality, and they have to really tap into being grounded with that. Intuitive, and also too, they find comfort once again back into that spiritual realm. They're all about fairness and justice, so you'll see them doing a lot of work on like social justice, or just even bringing certain topics to light that people are uncomfortable talking about. They can be healers, so whether it's a wounded healer, they're dealing with their own, trauma and triggers, and then they're also helping to heal other people emotionally, mentally, physically. Um, they have to socialize too. It's something about their socialization skills that they need to brush up on more. So they're more like introverted, so they need to like definitely tap into socializing. They need to slow down on their opinions. This person can be very opinionated, and their opinions are not warranted at that point in time. It's like, yo, Shell, we didn't ask you for your opinion. So that's when you have to really draw back and like observe more and like, pay attention. And also too, they can be great in relationships if their partner understands them, because a lot of times like people who are sevens, like seven, those are born that adds up to seven, they could be great relationship partners, but a lot of times too, they can be a mark for their partners. They're kind of easily misunderstood, because sometimes they can be very flighty. So they have to make sure that their partners understand them, and they need a lot of space and intimacy. So maybe this person too sometimes don't need to be married in a relationship, because they just need that much space so they can create and advocate.
This person is Will Smith.
Mm. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's Will Smith.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and I told you I will save the other two to later, but I'll save one to later. The other person is 9/18/1971, and that's Jada.
And she's a Virgo, and she's an earth sign. So earth signs and air signs are interesting dynamic duo. They do a lot of clashing, because like earth signs are very like grounding. They're like, listen, like, how can I help you? And air signs are like, F this, everyone, blah blah blah. And with hers, she's a fighter. And it says, when I had got from this, like fighters will get everything they fight for. So very fiery. So that temperament is fiery, aggressive, quick thinker. Also too, don't mind confrontation. So they don't mind having confrontation, bringing it to people. They're very devoted and loyal to their friends and family. They rock with the underdogs heavy, so they'll take on the underdogs. And also too, they need to know what tact is, and they need to be a little bit more gentle. And that's what I think. That's what earth sign spirit. I'm an earth sign, so like sometimes like to the point, this is what it is, and a lot of times we have to take a step back and be like, all right, how can I redirect this energy to be more tactful, and then also to be more diplomatic to get things moving. So I can see that within her too.
I'm gonna ask you, and I don't know if anybody ever did them two's numbers, and what we see. Like I always say, what we see on camera is what we see for public consumption
Mm-hmm.
is major dysfunction. They've been in the news. Some people keep saying, "Oh, well, we still talking about it 2-3 weeks later." We're talking about it because it's relevant, and they are considered. He's considered an A-list actor. They're
Right.
considered a celebrity couple. So anytime a celebrity couple does something, it is people are talking about it, quote unquote, at the water cooler. So this is
Mm-hmm.
why this discussion is still going on. Like I said, I don't know if anybody ever did their numbers, and I thought it was interesting that they were so close as
Mm-hmm.
far as birth and their signs, but because that attraction may be the clash
Right.
somewhat.
Exactly, definitely. And like I said, with air signs, they want to be people pleasers. And like once they don't look good into like the public's eyes or the family eyes, it's kind of like they disgrace themselves and go away for a minute, and then they reappear back more healed and stuff like that. And like I remember it says in Will's numbers that he's very spiritual, so we might see him doing a spiritual awakening at this point in time. And I know Jada does a lot of work with Queen of Fluid, so maybe Queen of Fool, her son Supernova Storm, maybe
Hmm.
will get involved, with Hill Die Man. That's his program that he has. So
Yeah,
maybe I could see that happening. Um, but with Jada, she always been fiery. Like we see her play a lot of fiery parts and she's very petite. So think back to a different world. She was just like I don't want to say the hood chick, but the chick from Boston,
yeah, yeah.
and
But
with
it's like, for lack of better words, she could be having that Napoleon complex or whatever.
right,
Um,
exactly,
not that may be a bad thing. That just could be her character makeup and what she does to survive.
hmm
Being the shorter young lady, and being overlooked, sort of say. So you got
right,
to speak up and speak out and
exactly.
get your voice heard. So we're gonna transition into a wild second quarter. Like, what is going on? I know Monday I did a lot of stuff on social media. A
hmm
lot of stuff was going on, and I know one of my guys, my favorite podcasters, he was like, "This is a messy Monday," and I noticed that it's just a lot of
Right.
stuff going on. You know, not only with celebrity but just regular people. You
hmm
got this guy in New York who he shot 10 people, but nobody died.
Right. Exactly. So you have that going on. So it's like that. It's this big question mark of like what the F is really going on and what we're witnessing. And I've been saying this for since a year. We're witnessing post pandemic mental health breakdown.
Mm,
A lot of people's mental health, and I post about that today, is unraveling. So you even look at somebody wrong, they on the edge. We all are on the edge at some point in time. To the point, this how bad it is. So I went to my primary care today just to get my checkup. The new question they ask you now is, have you thought about committing suicide or homicide onto other people? I was like, I never had that question asked, right? So I see why people are asking that. And then even here, being in Alabama, they're trying to bring back old social workers because they need a lot of the caseload as far as the mental health is out of control to the point we have a shortage of social workers.
mm.
So a lot of times, what we see is people unraveling, people not staying in their lane, people being keyboard gangsters. People really don't want to do the inner work, and so what they're doing, they're pointing outwards. This is you. You're the issue. You're this. You're that. Instead of them taking accountability for their healing, and also too saying, "Hey, I'm struggling in these areas. This is what I need to be healed." And people holding on to old grudges and resentment.
So let me ask you. We the pandemic definitely changed what I do, changed what you do. It changed how I did shows, and it allowed me to focus on what I wanted to do in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were available in the last 2 years, and now it's like I said, it's changing. I thought that because of the tragedy of so many people was touched by the pandemic, that you would have thought it would be a major spiritual awakening.
For some, I think for some it was a spiritual awakening. Like I know I definitely, transition how I think spiritually and just on another level. But I have to also do the work and I'm continuously doing the work. A lot of people were just antsy, they didn't want to be home because a lot of people are not comfortable with staying home with their selves. When I'm saying with their selves, it's in their mind, also too, what's that dark sparks that you need to heal? What's triggering you? And I think a lot of people don't know what their triggers are. So all this stuff that's been going on, everybody's been triggered because they haven't identified what are their trigger points. So a lot of people was ignoring the healing, and also too, domestic violence went up, self-medicating went up as well as far as with substance abuse. So a lot of people tapped in more into like drugs and alcohol. And when I'm saying self-medication, also too like overindulging in sex. So you've seen a lot of things being sexualized. A lot of people are being overly sexual. It's just out of control, right? And I'm just like, everything is about sex or twerking or this and
It's
that. And I'm
it's it's fun. It's funny. It's funny you brought up twerking. I always say, and I probably need to have a discussion about the twerking. Is
like, mhm,
our culture has always twerked. You know what I mean? From
right,
uh, the butt doing the butt. Luke and all that stuff. And
exactly.
I always find it ironic how our thinkers will focus and say, well, twerking is this, twerking is that, but it leads to the over sexualization of what's going on. Like everything is like you literally TV is like it done transitioned from soft porn to now
Yes,
it's like okay, let
exactly.
me
You
let
can't really watch TV like that anymore
yeah
because it's just out in the open. And then even another thing that people don't want to talk about, the black men versus the black women conversations is just disgusting. It's degrading. It's devaluing us as a culture. And I'm like, I'm seeing the breakdowns even in that. So, people are just on the edge and really haven't took the time to say, you know what, I'm thankful that I made it out the pandemic and my family members that, still survived. They just want to get back to what's the word, normal. But
yeah
we about to transition to a whole different dimension because I'm seeing like the old quote unquote society we lived in is no longer. Like we're in a whole totally different dimension that people are confused and like what are we doing here? Like, do I move forward? Do I stand still? And I just think that we all have to stay in our lane and go back to, because it's universal 6 year. We got to go back to the soul family. So this is the time too. I think a lot of people need to reevaluate their family structure. And I'm not talking about the family structure they was born into, but people who you call your A1 from day ones, do you really need to cut them off because they said that they support this versus that? You see a lot of that too. So I just think that a lot of people need to take accountability and be acts of service to themselves and to other people because people are really out here struggling. You'll be surprised. People put so much, they frank on social media, but they're really struggling, like seriously, mentally, spiritually, and holistically.
yeah. I know we're real tight. The gender thing I'm starting to really like get a better grip and understanding it. At first, I just be like so frustrated because you're like, yo, what the hell is going on? Why is the gender divide so serious? What happened? The history, um, some of the solutions that I think that could help, and it's like it's really getting worse. It's like it's getting seriously worse, and it's like we say that we want to come together, but the reality is that we're really going further apart. You see a lot of men are in the business of degrading women. You see a lot of women in the business of degrading men. But then they'll say in the next breath, "Oh, he's a king," or or she's a queen, and it's not
Right.
as a bunch of someone very close to me say the math ain't mathing.
Yeah, the
It's
math
not.
ain't
It's not.
mathing.
It's not adding up. And transition that to how me and you and how myself and yourself met. Um, the reality is that we're broke.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and Drea, it's funny when we always talk about the wealth gap and money. I think a lot of people that are opposed to the theory of reparations, their first thing is I'm doing good, and they're looking at it from an individualistic standpoint. Like I'm well off. I'm at a certain age. I got some investments. I got things popping and secure from my family.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't understand that at the end of the day, what happens is, yeah, your family might be doing well off, but it's five families suffering next to you. Um, and
True.
the wealth gap and what they said about 2030, and,
Right.
and basically we will have Black Americans that have zero wealth in this country.
Exactly.
So looking, like I said, I thought it was a serious spiritual awakening, but going into this quarter, like I said, the first quarter, like we did the show, I'm like, all right, wasn't bad, it was laid back, and then this just boom, 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 all types of stuff just started happening.
I
I
mean, and
mentioned,
it's every day. You can't keep up with it. Because I think what was it yesterday when Cam Newton said his remarks, and then with the Mano thing, and then with the Zeno thing. It's just every day. It's like a three part of.
the funniest thing about Cam Newton, right, is Cam Newton has been consistent of who he's always been.
Right.
He's the son of a preacher. His mother and father been together forever. He has these very strong family values, and I'm not going to say anybody's values are not strong, but
Mm-hmm.
he believes in the nuclear family. But everybody looks at his personal life, and he got a baby mother and this, that, and third, and they'd be like, as they say, it ain't adding up, and they'd be like, and it's like they the power structure, it's all clickbaitish. They
It
jump on
is.
his statements and they attack them, and like, what did he say wrong?
I don't think he said anything wrong. Like I appreciate what he said because of just the type of family I come from, very traditional. And I think, like you said, they looking at it like, well, it's misaligned with his own personal life. Um, I feel that, and people may go ill on me. I feel as women, especially Black women, we need to learn how to chill. That's one of my missions, is like taking a step back and allowing the man to be the man, and I'm gonna be the woman, right? And not um be trying to be someone's mom. I don't want to be anyone's mom, but how are we surviving if we are raising children, in all these different households? Also, too, as women, we have to take accountability of who we allow access to us. And when I'm saying us, to us sexually, energetically. Also, too, men are gonna men. You just have to keep place. Yo, no, I'm good. So when you said, I don't feel with the problems, like how do you feed yourself? If you don't know how to cook, yes, you may get takeout, but that gets old after a while. So you gotta think about nutritional value. You gotta think about you talking about, oh, I want a husband, but a lot of people honestly they haven't seen marriages in their family. I'm still shocked about that. Like I know a lot of people like, yo, I've never seen any like a lot of people in my family
Yeah,
married. I was like, wow. I'm always shocked about that because maybe because I come both sides of my family, I have seen longevity in marriages and they made it work.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting, and like I said, it goes back to the I think that a lot of women don't understand that the man never forsakes his woman on that auction block, and
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. Like we were on that block together, and it's like, yo, like where did we become like so upset and
Right.
anger and just like resentment and bitterness
And it's
to the
getting
point where we're
worse.
like, I I gotta uh, it's her fault. It's her fault.
Right. And it's so when I went to South Carolina, I went to Charleston, and for those who follow me, I actually took a plantation tour, which was very humbling. And 90% of our ancestors came from Charleston, South Carolina. And the part
Ula
that, huh?
Geechee, right?
Right, exactly. The part that kind of got me was the lady had said, well, we're going to focus on the women of the plantation. I'm like, what about the black male slaves, right? I thought that was kind of interesting because they were saying at this particular plantation that they have more female workers than than males on the plantation. I thought that was kind of interesting to hear that. But even just the feminist tone in that, like, yeah, even though your ancestors was getting raped and abused and mistreated, we still have a feminist tone here on this plantation. And I just thought that was the most weirdest thing. But we have to understand that we all we have. I don't care if you go outside the race and you date other people, whatever the case is, you still have, your black family that is still struggling. So all this going back and forth and oh, this person said this, oh, this person said that. Once again, that is part of you need to stay in your lane and charity starts at home. And how about you rebuild your family structure, which a lot of people don't want to do. They want to see what the celebrity is going to say. And then like, yeah, see, that's why I didn't like Homeboy. But like you said, Cam Newton's always been who he
And
is.
it really is. It's on code to what he's always said. Sort of say he's always said these things. I got one birthday I want to ask you about. Right, the last one is 8/30/1973.
Oh yeah, I did that one. Oh,
It's a Virgo.
Virgo. This person here must carry out all projects and assignments. So they are the ones who like have to carry it on their back. Also too, they gotta be careful of what they intake as far as with food because their weight fluctuates all the time. They may have a thyroid issue that like slows them down as well. This person can see a whole bunch of money so wealthy. They thrive on peace, wisdom, and harmony. They have intensive emotions too, so they're like highly intense. Oftentimes need direction creatively. They can be mad creative, but they just need to be redirected. Also, they need discipline. Sometimes they lack discipline. Communication is key, so they need to communicate like, hey, if they have a team, I need y'all to help me, creatively. Can be very charming, have amazing social skills, and then also to going back to like they can be very proficient and like amazing in relationships.
Well, because we were just talking about that auction block and slavery and understanding when you went on your trip, that 8/30/1973 is Mr. Jermaine Coleman, aka Mano. Highly disappointed in him.
Yeah.
I understand that today he came out and I saw the video where he said, "Oh, y'all can't take a joke." Mano, in my opinion, is too intelligent,
Mhm.
too street savvy,
Mhm.
and too as a man that understands the pulse of the culture. I think that he know he messed up
Right.
by saying that. I don't think he was joking. No, I must admit, in a weird, sick fantasy way.
Mhm.
I think that he probably does think of some crazy sex when he's having relationships with these type of women. I just think that
Right.
unfortunately it I don't think he realized how it sounds, how it landed, and how disappointed some people in the culture is with him. Like, yo, we don't play with slavery. That's not,
Mhm.
everybody always talks like, yeah, we were kings and queens before slavery. That's ours though. We own, it happened to us and we ain't gonna let it go. And we shouldn't let
Right.
it go. And I think that when he did that, like I said, it didn't land well. And a lot of people who keep Mano in high regard are very, very upset.
Definitely. Because I was like, what he say? It was just weird. But once again, we're seeing a lot of people gonna come. This not gonna be last. We're gonna see more people saying some salacious things, more sensationalism, and we are going to see people just out here. Wow, like people. This is just light. Wait till like it get warmer. Like summertime is going to be wow, and it's gonna be so wow to the point. I believe this, and I feel it's gonna be like another lockdown.
Uh, is it a lockdown for what? A pandemic or just nuts? Just people
I
just
would say all the above. I would say like pandemic. I would say like mental health. Like we're gonna see a lot of people going into like rehab or getting therapy. It's getting wild. It's getting wild. People are on the edge. And another thing too, this is what I wanted to mention to everyone. Start doing your karmic cleanup because I'm seeing things that how it's like, oh, that person's gonna get it. I'm seeing it come back too quick on people. So if you are not divinely
explain
the
um
karmic
the
cleanup,
karma cleaner.
Like some people, probably all of us, need to sit down and write um a forgive I would say a forgiveness letter to ourselves and to people who you need to forgive. We all need to forgive somebody, right? Because what I'm seeing is like people are getting their people are getting what is deserved to them. So if you did somebody dirty and you know it, it's time to take ownership because you're gonna realize, damn, why I can't keep money, why I can't keep my mental health, why I can't keep this because you didn't karmically clean that up. Um, I've been doing a lot of work on that. That's what I'm saying. So I won't get caught up with like being unforgiving or just even regretful or just even resentful because people are dying at rapid rates from stress because they're getting into arguments and then you have to chill with the argument too. Sometimes you just have to take a step back, like you know what, like I have a post about cleaner food said like if when someone goes gutter, you have to be a goddess and not have to get off your throne. And I'm a firm believer in that because do you have to fight every battle? No, you don't. But if you feel you got to fight every battle, you're never going to win the war. And also, too, that's going to be more karma you're going to have to clean up. And people are wondering why, like, yo, why is these things happening to me? And we all know people like that. Like, damn, everything's always happening to you because they're
Yeah,
refusing to do the work.
they even tell you that when as they say, spring cleaning, winter cleaning. When the season comes in, those are quarters as well. When they come in, you should do a cleanse. A
Yes.
spiritual, emotional, physical. And you always hear a lot of people. The first thing they do is, and when they talk about trying to get rid of that toxicity, first thing they say is, "Oh, I got to get away from toxic people." Well, how you don't know you toxic?
Right, exactly. And they probably a toxic person and they refuse to do the shadow work. Which is tough, but you have to do it. You have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, why is XYZ happening to me? Not even just happening to me, but why am I holding on to certain things? And you know what you're holding on to. Everyone know what we holding on to. And so like you just gotta start forgiving yourself and forgive other people. Like I said, do you gotta go on an apology tour? You may have to go on an apology tour if you want to savage those relationships or just even free yourself because I'm seeing a lot of people burden and bogged down and they don't know how to communicate. So what they do, I'm blocking this person, I'm doing this instead of them really having these
Yeah,
conversations like, yo, what did I do?
you see that they'll get confronted or called out on their stuff, and the
Right.
first thing they'll do is, instead of trying to look at it and look inwardly and try to reconcile the situation, I'm just going to take. I'm going to not listen to what they're addressing me about, and I'm just going to take what they say and just throw their energy away
Hmm.
because they're the problem. It's not me. I'm good. I'm okay. So they're the toxic ones, and you notice that, like you said, you see somebody's karma come back to them so quick, and you be like, "Yo, didn't you just go through something a couple months ago? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on with you? Like, you got some stuff." And a lot of times we tend to not think that it's us,
Hmm.
and we think, "Oh no, just it's you.
Right.
You being religious people would say tried and tested, and
Hmm.
spirituality people would say, like, you got some bad energy going on, and it's like you don't want to put the work in as an individual to get rid of the work. Do the work and get rid of the energy and the stuff that you're gonna be going through.
Right, exactly. And you have to put that work in. You have to do the work. Yeah, so I'm seeing that a lot too. But once again, that's just you have to do a cleansing of your soul, of your spirit, and be okay with making that quick switch, like change your mind, changing your attitude, changing how you look at things too. And once again, do you have to react to everything?
It's funny because when we go back to celebrities, when Kanye was in the news, right? During the first quarter, he was in the news all over the place, right? So I
Hmm.
was telling somebody, I said, "This guy got that Alpha Gemini energy. Like, let it just go. He's an artist. He likes to create. He's being creative, and he has that access." And one of the things that they did is that it appeared that they were doing something to him, but in all reality, they probably allowed him to focus on himself. And he pushes the culture. He's nowhere around right now. And people are like, where he at? Where he at? Like, what's going on? And now they're starting to see a lot of the things that he, as a father,
Mm-hmm.
as an ex-husband, what he was trying to address. And it's interesting how media in this country is portrayed in social media, and I seen somebody get upset because their page got taken. And rightfully so. When you build a platform, you got every right to be upset about your platform being taken for
Mm-hmm.
reasons that you don't understand. But they were going crazy, and I was like, "Yo, like you need that." And they got it back, but it was just amazing how that them taking it was like, dude, you still on top of your game. Like,
Right.
it's interesting how social media has really made us addicted to that validation from others.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's an addiction that a lot of people don't want to admit that's an addiction. It's also to a mental health killer. Like, a lot of people who use social media compare their lives to like these smoking mirrors, and they get depressed, they get anxious. And everything is dictated by social media, TikTok, this, that, and the third. And it's like, yo, come on. To the point I'm like, I'm about to start like pulling back and taking my detox because it does get consuming. It gets overwhelming when it comes to that. But another thing too is a lot of people are showing their insecurities even more. Insecurities are popping up left and right via social media, and also too just in your own family union, and even within yourself. So people need to work on insecurities because I can see right through it. Like, man, you are like hella insecure for what? Like, what is going on here? But once again, people don't want to tap into like that childhood trauma and do the work from there, and work their way up as well.
Well, Drea, what's gonna happen? Now
I
you said
told
you said you
you.
said it's gonna get worse. You said it's gonna be a lot more, not worse. Let's just say it's gonna be more unraveling,
It's going to
more
be on more unraveling. We're going to see a lot of people unraveling, and also too just being misguided, and also not having a direction and lack discipline. So once again, charity starts at home. So you have to make sure you're 10 toes down, you're standing tall, and check your mental health and check yourself on a daily basis. So have like a daily check in. Commit to something too. So if it's you're gonna commit to not arguing for the rest of the year, yo, try it. You just never know. Or commit to joining a support group to help you with, let's say, grief or loss. So commit to something that's gonna help you push your success forward, and making sure that you are not part of the rest of the society just lost and aimless, because the world that we know now, this is how it is going to be moving forward. So people was talking about this ethical cleansing. I think a lot of times too, people it is a cleansing that's going on, but what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to watch people fade to black? But are you actually doing your inner work? So I think people need to do the soul check-in, like do your soul work, and
it
make sure.
might be it might be people might be us melanated people might be going through some vitamin D deficiency.
I think so. I think that, and then also too, just the addiction to the blue screen. Like, also get away from the freaking phone. Like, at least take an hour before you go to bed and just do some breath work. Breath work. A lot of people are.
That's one of the things that I used to do. I had this particular job. I used to work. I used to work 4 days a week at this job, but I worked a
Mhm.
lot, like 13 hours a day. So what I used to do is I used to get off work and just sit on the couch and not do nothing for a while. Most of the time I'd fall asleep, and it was basically just to get all that work mentality out of me before I deal with home life. And you see it now how a lot of people just we can't get away from our devices.
Mhm.
A lot of us, because a lot of people work at home, they can't get away from work. They're not, like Shanita just said, people aren't able to decompress.
Right.
And it's like, you know, imagine somebody going to the park, right? And they go to the park for a walk and they leave their phone in their car. Like some people, will panic and be like, "Well, I can't leave my phone in my car," and think of all types of
Right.
reasons that don't matter why they gotta have their phone on them. Then they'll start
Hmm.
psyching themselves out. Oh, this park ain't safe. I gotta call 911. But why are you walking in that park then?
Exactly.
Instead of saying, "Yo, I'm turning my phone completely off, and I'm gonna just quiet time, me time,
Hmm.
and really like she said, decompress and really just be in the moment." I have a coworker, and I said to him this week, I said, "Yo, you going fishing?" Because he had caught like 2 weeks ago. He had caught like 30 fish.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he caught like 30 trout. He was a 14 footer. He caught an 18 footer, and he was bragging right to me. So I said to him, I said, "Yo, what you doing on the weekend? You going fishing?" He's like fishing. He's like, "Man, I've been fishing every day since the
Mm.
last time I talked to you." I said, "Really?" So he said he goes fishing when he get off. We get off around 4. He gets off 5, and he'll go to the little lake on his property,
Hmm.
and he'll just go fishing. He be catching 2, 3, and just
Right. And that's
and he
exactly for him.
yeah yeah.
And that's another thing too. I wanted to say, like, everyone should have a hobby. So my new hobby is, I do still do my gardening. I take swimming classes because as it's 70% of African Americans who do not know how to swim. This is from children to adults. So that's my new thing is learning how to swim. So that's something that I don't have to think about. I don't have to worry about my device. I don't have to worry about academic stuff. I just have to worry about how can I float and save myself or save someone else while I'm in the water. So find some hobbies to do that is not dealing with something technology and start monetizing your hobbies. Like, oh my God, I gotta monetize it and make money off of it. That's when you're part of a racial group that doesn't have money, right? So it's just find you a hobby that you don't have to think about.
Shanita says she's in that percentile that can't swim. I'm with y'all.
Yeah,
Let me now,
and
look,
YMCA got classes for $50.
since you since you brought it up,
Huh?
I seen from your social media how your garden literally got started.
You did.
Like, wow. So now I'm gonna ask you a question, and we're gonna talk about the physical cleanse because eating, I don't, I haven't eaten food from my grandmother had a garden
Mm-hmm.
years ago, and I do go to farmers markets here and there. Can you tell the difference when you eat out of your garden?
You can tell a major difference of like non-GMO foods that's non-GMOs and things with GMO in it, like from the grocery store. You can tell a big difference. Like when I pick stuff in my garden, it grows so rapidly and it just tastes so fresh, and you can smell like when your collard greens are cooking with your jalapeno peppers. When you buy like them same collard greens in, like, let's say I'll say Trader Joe's. They have a little bit. They have some good quality. It's a difference because I remember back in the day, you could smell collard greens from doors down. Right now, you really can't smell them. You
You,
gotta
you know
be
what?
up
You're
on
right.
it.
You're right.
Yeah, you gotta
If
be all
somebody
up
if
on it.
somebody cooked collard greens, you could smell it for 2, 3 houses down.
I'm telling you, you could smell it a long ways, and now you have to be up on it. So how I got into gardening because I spent my summers in Alabama. And so like my family, we own at least like 80 acres of land. And so like I seen like my great uncles, like they was like 60s and 70s every day, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on their tractors, gardening and prepping the garden. So that's how I learned how to do a lot of things. And one of my uncles, my uncle Rarely, this is my great uncle, he always grew collard greens, beans. So before we left to go to Boston, we would like stop by his spot, pick it from the ground. So I remember seeing my parents picking it from the actual garden and bagging it. So I'm used to that type of culture. And I remember someone asked me this week, like, why are you so fascinated with living in the South? And I was like, because life for me is easier down here and I can grow my own stuff without someone bothering me. When you live in like northeastern states, especially if you live in an apartment, there's like certain clause in your lease that you can't even grow anything. So, you know, um I just, for me, I live a simple life, and I'd rather like live off the land than I have to go to a grocery store and you just the stuff is just not good quality in the grocery stores versus when you grow it. And when you grow it, you're like, yo, I feel like you're making your ancestors proud because they're like, yo, like this is how we pretty much survive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I find it interesting with the like I said, with your garden, because I know a lot of people are always concerned about. Well, I don't have the proper dirt, and I actually seen you go get dirt. I mean, you would you would just jazz it up like, and to be able to have your own garden and be able to be like, you know what, it's the season. Let me go out there and get some of my stuff. I think that, like you said, a lot of people, definitely people from the Northeast, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that." You can do it if you really want to do it. Now, if you live in a place that you can't do it, that's different. But,
Right.
but some people got enough space in the back
Exactly.
where they could do it, and oh, I'm scared the cats. Nah, just get you a little fence and
Right. And then you can grow
go
like
for it.
stuff in buckets. Like I grow stuff in buckets. Like you can grow tomatoes and different herbs and stuff. So always think about what you eat and then you can grow it in buckets. And also too, you can just get some fertilizer, mix it up, get fish fertilizer. It stinks, but I'm telling you, your vegetables will grow. Like I grew strawberries in a bucket last season and it was delicious. So you make time for what you want to make time for. It's important to go back to basics when it comes to eating. Because look at now, collard greens and sweet potato, all the stuff for those who, folks are from the South. Those are superfoods now, right? Like, oh my God, it's superfoods. And then they trying to tell you how to cook it. I mean, I cook my collard greens different versus like my mom and my aunts. Like I saute mine and I don't do all that stuff in it,
Yeah,
but
like who
it's
can,
good.
like really, like the culture, tradition, how things was passed down. Like, how you gonna tell us something's a superfood and this is what we've been eating? This is how we lived. It's amazing we how it ties in with understanding your inhabitant. Okay, now we're in a cold region and we're
Uh-huh.
melanated people, so this is what we got to eat to sustain and survive. And we were always, even if you were a pork eater, most people back then ate a lot of vegetables.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of people eat a lot of vegetables. I remember my mom was saying the other day, she was like, they pretty much was vegetarians because it was seven of them and they really couldn't afford meat. They only ate meat on Sunday. And so they pretty much ate beans, greens, like what Shirley Caesar was saying, and they was full. And some of them worked in the fields, and but they didn't have sedentary lives. Like our lives are very sedentary. A lot of us are lazy and don't want to cook. But listen, when you meal prep, like I meal prep, and you can get you a crock pot and get all this stuff, you'll be surprised of how you can eat to live. And I think so many people is just like it's convenience. They want convenience, but I'm telling you, you don't know what's in this stuff. So grow you a garden. Even if you grow you some herbs, there's so many different kits you can get for like $5 from like Lowe's just to grow like rosemary and different things. So don't be afraid. Challenge yourself. So that's another thing too. I want everyone to challenge themselves and go beyond the status quo and not do what everyone's doing. It's okay to take a break from that device and figure out how to
Yeah,
grow some stuff.
it's crazy because I was following Victor, Dr. CB's son Victor, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had put up a video today on the GMO ginger, and I was so
Mm-hmm.
disappointed. I was like, oh. And he was explaining about the ginger, and shout out to Victor and Dr. CB's family for trying to continue his legacy of you know just getting us to think about eating right first, and before some of us do it, and understanding how it affects your behavior, affects everything that you got going on, all this stuff. And what me and you talk about, all this stuff ties together with how we should move in our mood swings. Definitely for the meat eaters, if you eat a lot of meat, it might affect your mood. You might need to look into that. To
Right.
that. But Drea, it's been a pleasure. Do you
Like
want to? You got anything you want to leave us? Any final thoughts?
I just like I said, everyone just make sure that you remember charity starts at home, and home is within yourself as well. Which you can spread love in your home. Remember that you don't have to fight every battle. The mission is just to win the war. So you gotta pick and choose what battles to fight, and a lot of times you don't. And this is another one I want to leave off with. Our new provost at Tuskegee has said, is LOL. He said, learn, observe, and listen. He's like, before you even say anything, you need to learn, you need to observe, and you need to listen. And I was like, yo, that's so dope. So, I rock with that. So just always make sure to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Observe from it and listen. And what teachable moments that is going to teach you. So that's it.
With that, appreciate you guys in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
Drea, let everybody know how they could link up with you. Far as personal readings, far as just linking up because you are a sapiosexual person. You love conversation. You love
I,
energy. You love to communicate with people, and you're not guarded. Sort of say you're not hard to find.
right, exactly. So you guys can follow me on Facebook and IG, Brown Girl from Boston. My blog is www.browngirlfromboston.com. And my email, as you can see, is Drea at browngirlfromboston.com. So I'm pretty much everywhere. Email me, you can hit me in the DMs, and I'm not one of those people like, who's this? Why you hit me up? So yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I know you speak about your name, Brown Girl from Boston, and everybody be like, "Yo, you always talk about Alabama." Just explain that before we leave. Explain it because they'll be like Alabama and Boston. What
Got
she?
it. So I'm a native, I always say Black Bostonian. I left home at 18 to go to school down here in Alabama. I graduated from Tuskegee University, which everyone should know is the HBCU, co-founded by Booker T. Washington and Lewis Adams. But we'll talk about that another time. Went to graduate school in Mississippi, lived a lot of places, and I came back to Alabama. I always say Alabama is my home of my ancestors because they was violently brought from South Carolina to here in Alabama. My parents are from Alabama, and I decided to make Alabama my home because I am a professor at my alma mater at Tuskegee University. So I know a lot of people are like, hold on, why is she always talking about Alabama? So that's the connection,
You're
the Boston
you're
to Bama connection.
you're you're a professor at Alabama, and where else?
I'm a professor at Tuskegee University and Utica. Well, now it's university. So I have the pleasure of being a professor at a HBCU and a PWI. And at my PWI, I teach a class called Privilege, Power, and Oppression. And it is an interesting class. And we can talk about that another time because it talks about white supremacy, white, culture, and just how things came about. And I have to tell y'all this before we leave. So I had the lecture on double consciousness and W.E.B. Du Bois. That is Booker T's Washington's. They have plenty of debates
They
and
were contemporaries.
contemporaries. And no one in my class knew who W.E.B. Du Bois was. And I was just very taken away. But when you are part of the other culture, we all know what the other culture is. You don't have to know about our culture. So hence why they're going very hard on, the critical theory because they don't have to know about us or just even people like indigenous people as well. And then when I said I have indigenous blood, which is true, they was like, what? So it's just interesting. So make sure that you all teach your children about our culture and like our leaders and what sacrifices that they made. I don't care if you learn with them. But it was very daunting and shocking that they didn't know W.E.B. Du Bois, but they don't have to, right? Like we have to know who their leaders are and their historic figures, but they didn't even know that. And
You
it was
know,
just taken away.
you guys in the chat, Drea is a very good friend of mine. Um, we
Yes,
met
we've
through
been rocking for a long
we
time.
met. She is my sister. We met through social media, and we've been supporting each other since then. One of the things that she touched on is we sometimes expect people to know our culture, and we're definitely going to do a show on that and discuss that because we have to realize that 90% of the other race that's here, the white race, 90% of them came through Ellis Island.
Exactly.
They were not here. So
Right.
we're gonna discuss that, Drea.
Gotta
Drea,
do
like
a
she
show on
said.
that. And we gotta do a show on 90% of our ancestors came from Sullivan Island. So make sure y'all look up Sullivan Island, which is in Charleston. I have pictures that I cried because I'm like, yo, my ancestors came through here. So for those who travel, make sure y'all put Charleston, South Carolina on your list, and you'll be you're gonna cry, and it's gonna humble you. So always look up Ellis Island and look up Sullivan Island, which 90% of African American ancestors came from.
Great. With that, appreciate you, Drea.
Thank
Appreciate you
you.
guys in the chat. We're gonna try to have her on. I told y'all she got a lot. Look, look, she's a professor at 2 colleges, right? She got her garden. She got and she's still in school herself. She ain't put that out there that she's still in school herself. So we as much as Dre wants to come on, she comes on. I just have to remind her. Hopefully she's not going to be doing too much traveling going forward, and I can get her to come on, and then we could discuss some of this stuff and really just um, peel back some layers and be able to have a discussion that is productive to
Mhm.
understanding why is your why, as Dara would say.
Right.
So with that, appreciate you guys in the chat. Remember to like, share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, make sure you hit the emoji. Make sure you share the conversation. This is the only way that the channel grows, and this is the only way that we can be a part of pushing the culture forward. With that, have a great night.
Good night.